Thank God it's Friday. Tonight on PM Business, National Petroleum Authority to sanction any OMC who fails to review prices of their products downwards.
It is determined that something has actually been flouted by an OMC or the other. That case would have to be reported to appropriate disciplinary committee of the board that would look into it and then advise an appropriate sanction that is supposed to be given to it.
Consumers of liquefied petroleum gas should expect a 20% decrease in prices as more oil marketing firms adjust prices of petroleum products at the pumps. We'll hear from the Vice President of the LPG Marketers Association of Ghana, Gabriel Kumi.
Again, today we are expecting price to go down by about 20%. We expect that the
20%, you say?
Yeah, 20%, yes.
And economists warns government to address all lingering issues bothering the debt exchange program, else staff level agreement will be a facade.
Hoping that on the back of this, government will repackage the debt exchange. As announced, is currently not in a good shape, and actually it will systematically weaken the balance sheet.
Details of these and many others coming your way shortly. Please stay. Grateful you could stay on. I am Pius Kojo Baka. A look now at our stories. The National Petroleum Authority says it will be applying sanctions to oil marketing companies who fail to review prices of their products downwards. This warning follows a downward adjustment of some petroleum products, with Shell and Total Energies being the latest to review their prices. Speaking earlier on Business Live, Communications Manager of the NPA, Mohammed Abdul Kudus, disclosed that they will use their tracking systems to ensure all OMCs stick to the agreed price rate.
They are not supposed to go and sell beyond what has actually been posted with us at the National Petroleum Authority. And as an authority, we have regularly kept the tap on monitoring to ensure that what is posted with us is what is actually on the ground, and the consumer is not shortchanged and sold much higher than what is supposed to be. So we're keeping the tap on them and ensuring that consumers actually get what is supposed to be per the indicators.
And what becomes the punitive measure if some oil marketing companies refuse to adjust their price?
Obviously, it depends on the degree of the incident and the determination by the disciplinary committee that normally gets these matters referred to it. So on top of my head, I will not be able to speak until a specific thing is actually brought to my attention. And so, like I said, when it is determined that something has actually been flouted by an OMC or the other, that case would have to be reported to appropriate disciplinary committee of the board that would look into it and then advise an appropriate sanction that is supposed to be given to it. But we've not had a certain history of where there is a posting with us of the indicative prices and they go to the field and do a different thing at all. Probably because they know that our monitoring mechanism is 24/7 on them, and we are ensuring that whatever that is agreed upon as supposed to be the price within a particular window, they actually go by it. They can't review that beyond what has been agreed without recourse to the National Petroleum Authority.
A while longer in the downstream petroleum sector, and Vice President of the LPG Marketers Association of Ghana, Gabriel Kumi, says price of liquefied petroleum gas will go down by 20% today. According to him, a kilo of LPG is expected to reduce from 15 cedis 50 pesos to 12 cedis 50 pesos beginning today. This follows the recent reduction of petroleum prices and the stability of the cedi.
Beginning today, we are expecting price to go down by about 20%. We expect that the
20%, you say?
Yeah, 20%, yes.
Okay.
Yes. The previous window, we're selling a kilo for about 15 cities, 50 pesos. Beginning today, we are expecting to sell a kilo for about 12 cities, 50 pesos. Then that will be a drop of about 3 Ghana cedis, and that represents about 20% of the previous window price.
And this is based on the city's stability against the dollar, as we've seen in the past 2 weeks. If the city continues to be stable, what would it mean for your business?
Obviously, this is good news for not only for consumers but for we as businessmen who operate in the space. And in the long run, it's good for Mother Ghana. You know, as an association, we've been pushing for prices of LPG to go down. Basically, the city stability is the largest contributor to this decline that we are seeing. If you look at the international markets, the price of the finished product continues to go down. Price of crude oil also continues to go down. At West, it's been very stable over the past few months. But what was really driving up the price was the instability of the city, was the depreciation of the city. But now that we see that the city gaining some ground, the city pitching its own against the dollar, we are likely to see a very consistent improvement in the price of LPG in terms of low prices.
Away from petroleum-related stories, economist and professor of finance, Professor Godfrey Broohm, has indicated that having reached a staff-level agreement is not enough to revive the economy, but rather repackaging the domestic exchange program to win all stakeholders buy into the program. According to him, if steps are not taken to take a relook at the exchange program, it will weaken the balance sheet of the participating financial institutions. There is more in the following report.
Speaking at a round-table discussion on the 2023 budget, economist Professor Godfrey Broohm stated that the 2023 budget failed to communicate to citizens that the country is in crisis. He therefore warned of tougher times ahead if government fails to address the lingering issues on the debt exchange program.
Of course, we've seen how the city is also responding, but there's still a lot of work to be done because staff-level agreement is not the same as a program. Now we are having to discuss staff-level agreement and asking for more time because our debt is unsustainable, and that is a lot of work, right? So we are hoping that on the back of this, government will repackage the debt exchange. As announced, is currently not in a good shape, and actually it will systematically weaken the balance sheet of the participating financial institutions. And if we are not careful in our attempt to polish the public balance sheet, we may be creating some crisis that later will come to bite us. So let's resolve all of that comprehensively now.
On his part, Executive Director of the African Center for Energy Policy, Ben Boache, called for a haircut in the energy sector to prevent the wasteful expenditure in the sector.
Generally, the sector needs to also take a haircut. We need to aggressively dive into the expenditures of the SOEs, cut the waste, the huge numbers, in the SOEs, even at the top. It may be difficult to cut those at the lower level, but those who already had their jobs, they had their businesses, they have been recruited to be CEOs, deputy CEOs, and just taking more from the state. We need to aggressively cut those people out to be able to free some space for, social spending.
Director of Programs and Advocacy at the Center for Democratic Development, Dr. Kojo Pomponi Asante, said as a civil society, they will be tracking some of the expenditure cuts outlined in the budget.
So we need to get serious about these commitments that we are making, and we are committing to make sure that some of those things we're going to be tracking, because otherwise, come a year later, we'll look at the budget and say, oh, we didn't do any of these things. The politicians will move on, the citizens will still be here dealing with the problem. So I think we all just have to get very, very serious. It's unfortunate that we have to take the burden on our citizens, but we don't have any choice. If we don't, our lives are not going to be any better.
The roundtable discussion on the Ghana's 2023 budget was organized by Citizens Coalition and was on the theme interrogating Ghana's 2023 budget and economic policy as a pathway to economic recovery.
Now, the Ghana Youth Voices, a subsidiary of the World Bank Youth-to-Youth Community Initiative, has been launched in Accra. Speaking at the ceremony, the youth lead, Daniel Owusu, advised the youth to develop digital skill sets to make them competitive in the current technological world.
Ghana Youth Voice, a subsidiary of World Bank Youth-to-Youth Community Initiative, which seeks to promote youth inclusion in decision-making and strengthening the country's youth community engagement with the World Bank Group, was launched at the World Bank head office in Accra. Speaking at a ceremony, the youth lead for Ghana Youth Voices, Daniel Owusu, called on the youth to take advantage of current digital trends to develop new skill sets which conforms to the current technological evolution.
We're in the fourth industrial revolution, and digital transformation is key, and also the future of work has changed from what we all got to know in school or what we were taught in school, and other careers have come up. Behind the scenes, there are lots of progressions of individuals taking up as a challenge to learn new skill sets in view to be globally competitive. So I urge all youth to, one, not rely on what they were taught in school, but rather even iterate or pivot on what they were taught in school, understand their personality types, connect it to what is happening within the global market.
A member of the Climate Change and Energy Steering Committee, Maxwell Benjamin, commended the initiative as one which will create the platform for young people to contribute to the developmental policies in Ghana.
It's very instrumental at this particular time, because looking at the World Bank's institutional framework, integrating a youth aspect is very key, and it's also very important as well, because if you look at most of these organizations, there is no desk or front desk for youth inclusion. But then as a bigger institution and focusing on youth and actually creating an avenue so that youth can equally contribute is, I think, very important.
Angelina Anobel, one of the participants, called for more such platforms to amplify activities of young people across the country.
Today's event has been very informative, and it has been very enlightening as well. Looking at an organization like mine in Besiafo, where I mentor girls from rural communities across Ghana, I feel like this initiative, that's the Ghana Youth Voices, is going to provide a platform for more young people like myself to be able to leverage on that platform to throw more light on what we are doing. So yeah, this initiative is really an amazing one, and we hope that more young people can benefit from it as well.
You're still watching Prime Business here on the Joy News channel. Now, professional engineering practices in Ghana must have the objective of ensuring conformity to technical, environmental, and safety standards. This is according to the Special Prosecutor, Lawyer Kisi Ejabeng. Speaking at the Ghana Institution of Engineers annual ethics lecture, he called on engineers not to be reckless and urged them to avoid corrupt practices in the execution of their duties.
The Special Prosecutor at the annual ethics lecture on quality infrastructure and engineering services, the engineer, politician, and ethical behavior called on members to discharge their duties with fidelity to the public and to uphold honesty, justice, and courtesy that form a moral philosophy that constitute the foundation of ethics.
If by my unethical conduct as an engineer, I am not one, I cause someone injury and he loses his leg through amputation, the law may offer him a recompense of monetary damages. However, he can never be restored to his former self, and he will be left with all the time in the world to think about his lost limb, money notwithstanding. We must not be reckless as to the consequences of our actions. If you weigh the options by engaging in reasonable caution and observation, and you recognize that it is obvious that there will be serious risk of the production of unhappy results in respect of a course of action, yet you still opt for that path, then you are clearly reckless as to the consequences of your actions. And this is the height of unethical conduct. And this is epitomized by permitting a politician and a contractor to influence your decision in that reprehensible promise for promise, live and let live bribery regime. Madam Chair, the professional engineering practice of the Ghana Institution of Engineering, from which you read, which contains the code of conduct of members of the institution, has the objective of ensuring that engineering practice in the country conforms to established technical, environmental, and safety standards.
The Special Prosecutor further called for a collaboration between politicians and engineers.
Now, a consultant from Cal Concept South Africa, Paul Mullen, has said that electronic records keeping is essential for organizations and businesses. This, he said, will help improve compliance and protect information and data for organizations. He spoke at the 37th Records Management Foundation for Africa Conference. There's more in this report.
Records Management Foundation for Africa is an African-based organization established to help build solutions for managing public sector records in developing countries. The 37th RMFA conference was on the theme Developing and Managing E-Records as a Strategic Resource. In an interview on the sidelines of the conference, Paul Moulon said electronic record keeping improves operational efficiency, information guidance, and reduces costs.
It really is essential for good corporate governance, compliance, accountability in government, meeting audit requirements, but at the end of the day, safeguarding information as an asset of the country. It's definitely essential to improve business processes, compliance, the ability to manage privacy information better, data protection. Also having central places to manage records. So done properly, the costs come down significantly, and at the end of the day, better citizen service, better internal service, better management of information of all kinds.
IT technician at the BAM Library of the University of Ghana, Moses Bediakon Adevat, keeping records electronically, safeguards information, and aids in easy dissemination of data and information.
It's very important. We need to make sure our records are kept electronically safe and ready to be shared and easy to disseminate and easy to also be used as a management decision-making tool. So it's very important, very, very important that as stakeholders in Africa, government institutions, public sectors, education sectors, and other, it's very important that we go through all these things and make sure we know how to keep our records safe.
The conference was focused on helping organizations and companies to increase operational efficiency and lower cost of transactions through electronic records keeping.
To some other stories, the Design and Technology Institute has upgraded the Kumasi Technical University's Automotive and Agricultural Mechanization Engineering Department. The workshop, upgraded at a cost of 325,000 cedis, is equipped with state-of-the-art tools to improve the delivery of technical and vocational education training, that's TVET, in Ghana.
In June 2022, DTI signed a memorandum of understanding University to upgrade the Automotive and Agricultural Mechanization Engineering Department workshop in fulfillment of DTI's commitment to the university. DTI also trained 23 academic skill advisors and instructors. They will in turn train students using the precision quality curriculum to ensure that students graduate with industry-relevant skills and adhere to global industry standards. DTI's support is in partnership with the MasterCard Foundation and a Young Africa Works strategy. It is to transform youth TVET livelihoods for sustainable jobs and will enable 3 million young people, particularly women, to access dignified and fulfilling work opportunities by 2030. Speaking at the handing over ceremony, founder of DTI, Ms. Constance Elizabeth Swanika, was optimistic the center will bridge the gap between academia and industry.
If Toyota wants to build a plant here, they should be able to team up with Swaba Magazine and say that we are moving our factories from China to Kumasi, right? And they will need engineers from Kumasi Technical Universities and the other universities to be able to manage and run and work in those factories. Ghana's economy has tanked, and our president and his cabinet have announced head cuts. And you know why? Because everything is imported into the country. We don't produce anymore. So there's pressure on the door. Those of you who are traders. But yet, we have the potential of becoming an industrial giant when we start producing again and exporting to the rest of the world.
The Vice-Chancellor of Kumasi Technical University, Engineer Professor Osei-Wusu Achao, was thankful to DTI for the opportunity for the university to champion the implementation of the precision quality curriculum. He believes this will propel the university to become a world-class technical university.
I'm delighted in part because today's exercise chalks yet another milestone for us as an institution in our quest to expand and deepen our collaboration with industry. I'm again delighted because the subject of this collaboration is precision quality, a practice that has the potential to turn around the fortunes of this country for the better if taken seriously by training institutions, policymakers, and industry players. Indeed, we in Kumasi Technical University count ourselves blessed to have had the fortune to benefit from this initiative by Design Technology Institute.
And to more stories, and a new ride-hailing service called Little has been launched onto the market. The Little app has a competitive advantage over other ride-hailing services as it has unique features such as delivery service, quality cars, and provides the option of preferred drivers where customers are allowed to request the services of a specific driver. Here's more from the launch.
Little app is a dedicated transport management portal for companies and Ghanaian users which has a lot of unique features. Little provides maximum security to customers as it encompasses an SOS button that customers can use to notify authorities in times of danger in the course of their movement. Mr. Kamal Badabati said the company is interested in the safety of customers and that informed their decision to improve on the quality of cars and drivers.
The reason I think customers would choose us is two things. One is they are more reliable, both in terms of services and quality. The quality of the cars, for example, the quality of our drivers is much more superior. We are corporate focused, so that means we have several other options for cost cutting and cost maintenance. So I feel that there is an opportunity for us, players like us, to be.
Director of Little Ghana, Paul Jakwe, added that the launch of the app will help to reduce the unemployment rate in the country by providing more youth in Ghana with jobs.
And we also expect that, Little will bring in more jobs to Ghanaians and also be able to, raise the standard in the current market and ensure that the ride-hailing app becomes a very effective tool for mobility within the country.
Little app was first launched in Kenya. It also provides female drivers with the opportunity to register and work as drivers using the app.
Now time for your stock market update with Head of Republic Securities, Patrick Edem Agama.
The stock market recorded activities in 24 equities this week. Total of 11.4 million shares were traded, amounting to 99.6 million Ghana cedis. MTN Ghana led in total volumes traded by 93%, whilst New Gold ETF dominated value traded by 90%. The GSE Composite Index closed lower at a year-to-date of negative 12.19%. The financial stock index also lost grounds to close at a year-to-date of negative 4.18%. The market recorded a gainer and 4 losers. The Trust Bank Gambia was the sole gainer, gaining 4 pesos to close at 80 pesos per share. Cal Bank led the losers, losing 15 pesos to close at 65 pesos per share. New Gold ETF, Unilever and Goil also lost some pesos.
And that's all in this package by way of Prime Business with me, Pius Kojo Baka. For more news, log on to myjoyonline.com/business. Do enjoy the rest of our programs, and we've got some international business for